Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Mechanics Institute. My name is Alyssa Stone. I am the Senior Director of Programs and Community Engagement here at Mechanics Institute, and it is my pleasure to welcome you all to our monthly storytelling showcase. For those who are less familiar with Mechanics Institute, we were founded in 1854, so we are a very old nonprofit. Who has been here to Mechanics Institute before? Awesome, and where are my members at? Where are my members at? Yes, thank you for your membership. Who is here for the very first time? Oh, fabulous, welcome. I hope it is the first of many, many visits to our fair institution. We are a membership library. Gorgeous, multi-story, accessible library. If you haven't checked out the library, it's truly stunning. Come back for a tour every Wednesday at noon, and we have monthly evening tours coming up on Fridays. We are also a world-renowned chess center. We do tournaments, classes, and school programs all throughout San Francisco. And we are an events space like what we're doing this evening. We have anywhere from 5 to 15 events per week here at Mechanics Institute. Writers groups, book groups, classes, storytelling showcases, author events, movies, our weekly Cinema Lit series on Fridays, our Stellar, and everything else in between. We hope that you'll join us for an upcoming program. Check out milibrary.org to learn more about all the amazing offers and things that we have here to offer at Mechanics Institute. For example, we have our Lunar New Year, Year of the Dragon, What Will the New Year Hold, tomorrow night, with world-renowned author Maxine Hong Kingston and David and Linda Lai. That's going to be a very fabulous event. And then this Friday kicks off our Cinema Lit theme of Black Civil Rights on film. Our first film this Friday is Loving, and then we move into Judas and the Black Messiah, The Landlord, and Black Klansman all throughout February. We have some fantastic films coming up with our curator, Matt Kennedy. So again, please check out milibrary.org to learn more about everything we have and to learn about the benefits of membership here at Mechanics Institute. It truly is a fantastic community, and we hope that you'll join us for an upcoming event and program. I am going to introduce the incredible host with the most, Corey Rosen, who is the real reason we're all here tonight is for Corey and his incredible set of storytellers this evening. Corey Rosen is a writer, actor, visual effects producer, and storytelling teacher based in San Francisco. He hosts the Moth StorySlams and Grand Slams and has been featured on the Moth Radio Hour, Alice Radio's The Sarah and Vinny Show, and KFOD's The Finch Files podcast. Corey is a performer at Bax Improv, one of the world's foremost centers for improvisational theater, and is the author of Your Story Well Told, Creative Strategies to Develop and Perform Stories That Wow an Audience. For more information about Corey, definitely visit CoreyRosen.com, and please give a warm welcome to Corey Rosen.
Thank you, Idrissa. Welcome, everybody. Wow, what a night to come out. Thank you all for coming out on this crazy night. So thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for supporting storytelling, and thank you for supporting Mechanics Institute. Give it up one more time for Mechanics Institute. It's a wonderful, fabulous place. I'm going to be your host and MC tonight. I'm going to tell you what we're in for and what's going to happen. Then I'm going to introduce the storytellers tonight. Whoa! I'm not going to fall off the stage. I might fall off the stage. It's been a very long day for me. I got up this morning at 2:30. I've been directing a movie or a TV commercial up in Petaluma all day, so if I fall off the stage, that's why. And just leave me alone. Let me nap it out, and then I'll stand back up and we'll finish it. But the theme. So here's what we're doing. This is I call this Your Story Well Told. Also happens to be the name of the book that I wrote. But really, the purpose and sort of the nature of this format and this showcase is to feature your stories, like to feature different voices, to listen to the members of our community talking, sharing their lives and their perspectives in every way. And so month to month, I invite different friends of mine, or colleagues of mine, or students of mine, or people that I have had the good fortune to connect with or overlap with. And applaud, by the way, if you've been here before to my particular show. If you've been fabulous. Welcome back. So as you may recall, for those of you who have been here, we've done collabs before. Like we did something called Back Fence Roulette, where we spun a wheel and the storytellers didn't know what story they were going to tell. They got their themes on the fly. Or in December we did, I also work in like the film and TV and visual effects world, so we had behind the scenes horror stories of terrible things that have happened or magical things that have happened behind the scenes. Tonight is, I want to just mix it up for the new year. We have a range of I say some of the most delightful people, but I probably say that every month. Individuals that I've either shared stages with at the Moth or other places around the Bay Area to share their perspectives. The theme that I gave them tonight was pets. Pets, and not just because it's raining cats and dogs, I didn't know that in advance, but pets or animals, and I also told the storytellers, or don't. So if there is nothing to do with pets or animals, I told you so. And if there is, I told you so. So that's something to keep in mind. And throughout just sort of what's coming the rest of the spring is going to be just different kinds of programming. Some more collaborations with different groups, different storytellers, different organizations. And I've been asked to do one, and I'm looking forward to my first story slam here. So a story slam means that you can put your own name in, and the story show will be made up of this community, including members of Mechanics Institute and others to come. So that sounds pretty good, right? Sounds like fun. Cool. Another, just quick in terms of what the show is. So this is going to be about an hour, maybe a little bit longer than an hour. No intermission. So if you need to do something, like get another drink or snack or go to the bathroom or play some chess or anything, you take care of you. So don't worry about that. We will still be here. We won't wait for you. I'll just say that. I promise that. And that's good. Any questions before we get started? Good. People are still filing in. I love it. There are plenty of seats also in front if you want to come up in the front. We even have one storyteller who isn't quite here yet. So we may have a surprise storyteller. It's not you, JP, but don't worry. Maybe come, JP. All right, I'm going to tell you a little animals story of my own because I was inspired by both the topic and then even more recently the work that I've been doing today because I've been on a movie set, which reminded me of this. So I have a lot of lives. For those of you who know me or have heard my stories, I dabble in different things throughout. I like to keep it interesting. I like to keep things going. But I did go to film school, and I did originally aspire to go more directly into the directing end, and then sort of found my way into other aspects of production. So my first real jobs out of college, or while I was in college, were at places like Jim Henson Productions and Comedy Central, working with Muppets, which are animals. Qualified. But my real kind of career in the industry started at Lucasfilm in San Rafael and Industrial Light and Magic. So while I was working for this kind of hallowed center of visual effects and animation, I was doing the very unglorious and unglamorous work of cleaning dirt off of film. That was my initial job. It was my welcome to the film industry was by cleaning dirt. Some of you may have heard my story about accidentally erasing Han Solo's ear. Yeah, that's a true story. If you don't know that one, I can tell it to you later. But while I was working at ILM, I still had the bug in me, and I was like, I want to make my own movie. So I had this kind of purview. That's something that's kind of a trait that's kept me going through a lot of my life, which is really what I do with these shows as well, which is looking around at my I would say more interesting or more talented friends around me, saying like, how might we work together? How might we collaborate together? And in the desire to make a movie of my own, a short film of my own, I looked at the resources that I had now working at this place, Lucasfilm. And one of the resources that I had, because this is at a time when things were still shot on film, is that we were making everything on film, right? We were shooting film, we were recording things back to film, and when you do that, when you do a movie production, you use the film in the big spool of film, the reels of film, until there's like only about this much left, which isn't really enough to get the next shot, so they call those short ends. So these are like these little, maybe like 30-second to 1-minute rolls of film. And there's just cans of those all over in this dark room. So I asked someone, I was like, can I have those? And someone was like, yeah, sure, yeah, we're not going to use those, because they were like these very little and very inefficient to use rolls of film. And then I was like, well, can I also use one of those 35mm cameras that made, Return of the Jedi? And they're like, yeah, you can use those. And then I asked people that I worked with to be the crew on it, and next thing I know, I have, the aforementioned last storyteller. Anyway, I put together this cobbled together this crew of my fellow employees to make a film that I called Keep Clear. Keep Clear. So a silent film that was completely made on favors, right? Everything was borrowed, including the car that I drove, a teal blue 57 Chevy that I drove on the back roads of a farm in West Marin County, owned by somebody else that I worked with. Every single thing that happened on this film shoot was a favor that I kind of called in. I also decided I needed to have a celebrity in this movie, right? And so I was like, how can I find a celebrity? I'm like 21 years old. So I thought, I'll call the local celebrities, right? So I somehow got a letter out to Sean Penn and Robin Williams, and who else was the celebrity in San Francisco? I think Nicolas Cage still lived here. None of them responded to me. So I sent a letter to Willie Brown, the mayor of San Francisco, whose office wrote me back to schedule a time for the film shoot, right? Willie Brown never camera shy. Willie Brown was very, very willing. And so I actually got Willie Brown to show up on a set in front of a blue screen and be abducted by aliens. So that is a true cameo that Willie Brown plays in my film. But the real test of my directorial prowess came in the fact that in this sort of sci-fi comedy short film, Keep Clear, the story is that a man played by me is in his 57 Chevy, and he stops at a keep clear zone. You know the keep clear zones, you see them, right? And instead of just driving through it, he stops and his glasses are very dirty. So he can't see the sign, so he takes off his glasses. While he is cleaning his glasses, a parade of hilarious, I think, things passes in front of his vehicle, right? A mime comes in front of his car, some ninjas, the mayor of San Francisco, various things. Ultimately, they're all abducted by aliens. But one of those things, I don't know why, I wanted a flock of ducks. Ducks, here's where the animal part of the story comes in. So I have this vision that I'm going to have ducks. So I put out onto the message board for my company, does anybody have any ducks? Sure enough, somebody has some fucking duck. There was a duck. Somebody's like, well, I don't have the ducks, but I live in the canal area of San Rafael, and there are these, maybe it's like the Belmarin Key, somewhere in that area. There's ducks there, and you're welcome to find, I don't know. So I go out, I drive out to the Belmarin Keys in West Marin County, I park my car, and I take out a loaf of bread, and sure enough, I see some ducks, and I stand on one side of the road, and I go, action! And the ducks walked across the road. Got my thing. So next thing I know, I come back with my 35mm camera, a little blue screen material, and there are ducks in the movie as well. So in the end, how do I kind of put all of this together? Is that I look at the life that I weirdly cobbled together, and how does it connect back to directing ducks to cross the road? And I think I look at the wisdom that I've maybe accrued through my life since then to now is that I don't think I've changed a bit. I feel like even today, I was doing the equivalent of throwing a loaf of bread down and saying, action, and watching a bunch of ducks go across the road, because, not kidding, the action that I had today involved a dryer. There was a laundromat in Petaluma, and I just jokingly said to the dryer, I go, and stop, just as it stopped. And it stopped. So I have the power. Thank you. All right, well, we have a wonderful show ahead for you tonight. These are all wonderful storytellers or comedians or both. And the next first storyteller that we have coming up is a very dear friend of mine who has had the good fortune of performing with me on many a stage, including the Moth Grand Slam stage, which you won. And it is my great honor and privilege to introduce Brandon Sparks!
Hi, everybody. Is that sounding good?
Yeah.
Good. Right on. So when I was 21 years old, just after graduating from college, I became a volunteer English teacher at a university in Bali, Indonesia. And it was there that I fell in love with one of the Indonesian college students, Erma. Now, as a pretense to get to spend more time with her outside of class, I concocted a plan. I decided the school would hold a play, Romeo and Juliet, and she would play the part of Juliet, and I would be her director. Now, this was going to be an enormous undertaking, so I decided it would be best if I went to her parents and asked for their permission for her to spend all this time outside of school. And in so doing, maybe worked my way into their favor a bit. And so I visited them at their house. There I was, underneath a mango tree, in the family garden, sitting right next to the father. And I had just stumbled my way in my bad Indonesian through these prepared remarks I had made about how the play would be good for her English. If she spoke good English, she stood a promising chance as a professional. And I would be instrumental in helping her with all of this. Now, I had prepared these remarks in advance. What I wasn't prepared for was the effusion of formal, complex Indonesian that came flooding out of the father's mouth. Why, it didn't seem to be about the play or his daughter at all. It was something about the mango tree, the newspaper he had been reading, then the neighbor and a motorcycle helmet. I became totally lost, and eventually I gave up and simply waited for the man to stop. The family cat arrived. This one has a theme to it. It was a skinny thing with a crooked tail. And when I had just arrived at this house, it had been there, and I had bent down to pet it. And the entire family shouted, "Kotor! Dirty!" and viciously shooed the animal away. Well, now it was back. It was drawn by the aroma of these fried fishy snacks the father had been eating. It knew the snacks were forbidden, so it planted its haunches a respectable meter or so away from the snacks. It looked at the plate. Now, just beyond the cat, I could see the lovely Erma sitting alone in the front room of the house. And while the father raged on in Indonesian, this helplessness I was feeling developed into a deep hopelessness. Why, in this moment, I began to realize it could be very unlikely that I, like this cat, would ever win the favor of this family. Poor Erma. Why, she would be much better off with someone from her own culture who could sit with her, speak to her in her language, make her laugh. Someone who could understand her father, who now appeared to be asking me something. He was pointing at the newspaper, saying, "Satu, dua, apa, tiga, satu, dua, apa, tiga." And I was about to reveal I hadn't understood a word the man had said, but I didn't have to. The cat saved me. It took this moment to aim its paw right at the plate of snacks. And like a fuzzy striped large amoeba, it poured itself through its arm and was just about about to get a claw on one of those nuggets of fried fishy goodness when the ground shook. Now the father is a powerful man, and when he moves about the house, the whole floor vibrates. Why, his calf muscles pump up and down his legs like two dribbling basketballs. That poor cat didn't stand a chance. The man covered the distance in a fraction of a second, and then whoosh was the sound of the swoop of his mighty leg. And pop! He punted the cat straight up into the mango tree, his foot finishing right alongside his nose on the follow-through. There was the sound of tearing leaves, and a plume of foliage shot past the upper canopy of the tree as the cat flew through the tree and out of the garden. He kicked that thing out of the garden. Well, I took this as a chance to simply excuse myself. And the next thing I knew, I was pushing my bicycle down that dirt road that led to their house. I hadn't said goodbye to Erma. I hadn't even retrieved my copy of Romeo and Juliet, which still lay on their coffee table. But I didn't think it mattered. I doubted that play was happening, and I was pretty sure I was not going back to that house. Then I stopped. There in the middle of the dirt road was a little gray lump. It was the cat. I set the bicycle down and knelt next to the cat. I put my hand on it. There was a bit of blood trickling from its nose, and I felt it shiver. I didn't know if it was alive or dead, but lest it had survived getting kicked out of the garden, only to be run over by a car, I scooped it up and looked for a safe place to set it. And finding none, I crept back to the family's house. The gate was closed, the garden was empty, but I was able to slide the cat through two of the metal bars. And once again, I placed my hand on it and felt it shiver. The poor thing. We had been comrades in the quest to win the love of his family, and we had both failed. Just before turning to leave, I looked up, and there, framed in the front window, in all of her terrifying beauty, was Erma. I waved and turned and left. The next morning, that hopelessness had turned to heartache and despair. I couldn't eat, I couldn't sleep. The hour of my English class came and went, and I didn't even go. But then, there was the roar of motorcycles. It was my students, about 12 of them. And they were arriving in my garden. Had they come to see why I hadn't gone to class? My heart skipped a beat when I noticed Erma among them. Why, Erma had the play, Romeo and Juliet. Was the play happening? Would the show go on? Yes, there was a meeting. Photocopies had been made, parts were allocated, a practice schedule was drawn up. And after the meeting, one by one, the students left. But Erma was the last one to leave. She was sitting on my front stoop, holding her backpack. I sat next to her. I'm so glad you want to do the play, I said. She didn't say anything. I was beginning to think you didn't like me, I said. Huh, was all she said. And then, to my surprise, she handed me her backpack and skipped over to her motorcycle and started it up. And I was just about to ask, why are you giving me your... It moved. The backpack moved. And when I unzipped it, out sprouted the cat. It had lived. It had survived getting kicked out of the garden. She stopped long enough to say, you two belong together. And belong together we did. For the next 6 years, we lived together. And I fed it all the fried, fishy snacks it wanted. It grew very fat and sleek and happy. Ah, but Erma and I belonged together too. She began to stay later and later after practices. And then once, under the pretense of coming to check on her cat, she visited me at my house. We were bent over, petting the cat, and our hands touched. And when we stood up, facing one another, with the cat brushing between our legs, we kissed. And we've been kissing happily for the past 32 years. And there she is. Everybody else is
Keep it going for Brandon Spar! Brandon Spar, incredible. Thank you, Brandon. Brandon, of course, is a TEDx speaker, a Moth Grand Slam 2-time winner, and a teacher at Sonoma Academy in Marin County. Thank you, Brandon. Beautiful work. All right. Idrissa, did I say you were going next? Yes. You want to go? Yeah. Okay. All right. So next up is a wonderful person, wonderful friend of mine, and somebody that I got to know through StorySlam Oakland, which is another community of storytellers in the East Bay. Anybody here from the East Bay? Yes? Oh, lots of you. Awesome. Idrissa is also president of Bright Futures, which is a growth and development center in Oakland. Where are you guys based? In Richmond. Fantastic. So please make a warm welcome for our next storyteller, Idrissa Lattier. Here, let's just switch it out. All right, one more try.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
All right. While he's doing that, thank you all for coming out tonight. You came out as adults on a Wednesday. You guys nothing to do with your kids. It's just you enjoying yourself like grown-ups. Congratulations to yourselves and Can you hear me? There we go. All right. So. All right. Now, in honor of New Year's, I'd like to tell a story about new beginnings. Because sometimes you don't get to choose the endings, but endings are necessary in order to get new beginnings, right? So the year was 2011, and it was all the rage where people were sending out these newsletters. Do you remember, instead of Christmas cards, they were sending out newsletters saying, oh, this is what we did this year. And I said, well, 2010 was a hell of a year. I'm sending out newsletters. And I'm sending it to everybody in my contacts. And I mean, family, friends, co-workers, old and new, neighbors. If I ever had your email address, you got my newsletter. So the newsletter started off, talked about my daughter. She just turned 10. We went to Disney World. We spent a week. It was wonderful. She had just got her 3rd degree brown belt and was working on her black belt. And I was so proud. She's beautiful, brilliant, and can kick your ass. So, she's a bomb. And my son, he was 7 going on 8. He was playing football, but he didn't really like football. He didn't like getting hit, which is understandable. So we tried baseball, football, much time on his hands. He joined the motorcycle club. So, fast forward, busy year dealing with the kids, running around, everything. It's December 30th. We're having a holiday party at work. I took my daughter with me. My son was with his grandmother. We had a great time at work. But then I decided I'm going to go home a little early. I go home, and when I walk through the door, I'm looking around, and wait a minute. I go back to the door. Doesn't look like anything's broken. No windows, nothing. So I go back in. It's ransacked. Place is empty. I'm looking, well, we've been robbed. They took everything, my 65-inch TV, 205-inch projector TVs, the couches, they had a U-Haul, my brand new washer and dryer, my bed. They took my vintage Jack Daniels collection. That makes no sense. My jewelry, everything. I have been wiped out by my husband. I continued in the newsletter. This man had secretly taken a workers' comp settlement, and he got himself a townhouse. And he filled the townhouse with everything from our house, except the kids' room. He thought he was magnanimous because he would take their room. Go figure, the rest of the house is gone. And so, I was mad, but then I felt free. I felt like I lost 350 pounds. I knew this man had been lying and cheating for a while, and I told him that he was with this woman, and this is her name. I put her name, her and I said, well, since he didn't believe me, here's more pictures of him and her. So I added all those pictures, and I said a few things about her and the type of woman she was. And again, this is fascinating reading for my neighbors, co-workers, or whoever. And I said, but don't worry about me and my kids. We're good. I immediately put them in therapy. Immediately. And I'm always going to be good. God has me, I'm going to be good. And God has a sense of humor. Because a few days later, someone had to go away to the military, and they said they had a bed. I go to get the bed, because of course I hadn't had it. He took everything. I go get the bed, and I just fell out laughing. To the point that I was crying. These people were looking at me like, what is wrong with this lady? The bed was the exact same bed that he had. The exact cherry wood, sleigh bed, like exact bed. And all I could do was laugh, like, I got jokes. Like, perfect jokes. But I continue in my newsletter. All newsletter now. I continued that we're all going to be good. Don't worry about us. I just didn't want the story to be skewed. I didn't want people asking me what happened. So this is what happened. This is not somebody I just met. I've known this man since I was 12 years old. And we had been married for 10 years, together for 16. I never would have thought he would have done something like that. But in order to get the beginnings, you have to have the ending, right? So fast forward to January 21st, just a few weeks later, I meet the man who is now my husband, my soulmate, the love of my life, and he is my new beginning, my middle, and my end. Thank you.
All right, there he is right there, yes. Not necessarily all going to be introducing our just don't want to calibrate that is your expectation for the rest of the show, that every single story, but that was awesome. awesome and delightful, and I think I know what I'm doing next Christmas. I'm going to write a newsletter. Wonderful change. Okay, all right, let's keep it going. Our next storyteller and I met, I think we first met at AAU, yes. She was my student. She was studying stop motion animation, which she has now gone on to just thrive in as a multimedia artist and a creator in every sense of the word, including a performance artist and a delightful person. So I am thrilled to welcome to the stage for maybe the first time since forever, maybe since an online show we did during COVID, since Zoom, Annie Wong, everybody! Yeah, just get close to it, that's it. Or you can take it out. Yeah. They're cat people, and they're dog people, and I am a hermit crab person. I love hermit crabs. Because hermit crabs taught me how to love my hermit mother. 20 years ago, my partner Michael and I were building our new relationship. And we decided to adopt a pet together. And we decided on hermit crabs. I'd never had hermit crabs before, but when I saw their super cute, like, black eyes and the funny, like, snail shells that they carry with them, I thought they were super quirky and super cute. And they were advertised as a very low maintenance pet. And I learned that is not true. Hermit crabs are very sensitive creatures that require daily care and really specific environmental conditions to thrive. My mother was not always a reclusive person. I remember once upon a time, she was full of vitality, and she loved singing and music, and she had this explosive laughter. But she also required very specific conditions to thrive. We didn't know what those conditions were, so we couldn't give them to her. We didn't know how to grade them. And so, over time, she grew into a version of herself that was very mean and volatile. Because all of that vitality with nowhere to channel it turned into aggression towards my dad, towards me. I remember plates being thrown against the kitchen wall. I remember hearing her stomping around the house, angrily talking to herself because she had no one to vent to. And I wrote in my Mickey Mouse diary that she must have been, like, not actually my mom, but instead like an evil stepmother. Because that was the only explanation that my child brain could come up with to explain why she was so mean. Here's a fun fact about hermit crabs. When they're being attacked, they have the ability to contract their muscles in such a way where they can break off their own limb and leave it behind, and it helps them to escape from their predators. I moved away from home when I was 19, and I do think that I had cut off a part of myself when I did that. And I kind of like broke off part of my heart, because that's what I needed to do to build up the strength to leave behind my baby sister and my dad and my mom. Here's another fun fact about hermit crabs. They have the ability to regrow a lost limb. And they do this through a process called molting. So when a hermit crab is ready to molt, they crawl out of the shell that is protecting their soft belly. And they dig deep underground in the sand. And then they sit there and they wait in the moist darkness until they are ready to crack open like a crack in the
back of their exoskeleton. And then they very slowly and carefully proceed to wiggle themselves out of every nook and cranny of their former skin. And it's a very stressful process, and they're very raw and vulnerable when they do this. That's why they stay underground, because they don't always survive the process. But when they do, they come out of their old exoskeleton, and then they're left there just kind of facing their old self. I had a really hard time facing my old self after I moved away. And that was because I thought, well, if my own mother couldn't be like a safe home for me, maybe that was because there was something wrong with us, or maybe there's something wrong with me, and that I was unlovable. I didn't know if I was ever going to be able to regrow that part of my heart. Until I learned about the final step of a hermit crab's molting process, which blew my mind and kind of changed the way that I thought about all of this. So the soft skin of the new hermit crab is very sensitive, and it's not fully hardened yet. And what they will do is they'll crawl over to their old exoskeleton and they'll eat it. Because that exoskeleton is full of calcium and nutrients, which help to fortify the new exoskeleton of the hermit crab. And so over time, I eventually learned how to look at my past experiences and my past selves and appreciate them and look at the good parts of them and integrate them into the current version of me, and that I could nourish them in ways that they didn't have growing up, and they could continue to nourish me. So when the hermit crab is done with the molt, and they're strong enough, they'll crawl back up to the surface, and they will look for a new shell to fit their new body, a new shell to call their home. And since I've regrown that part of my heart, kind of been able to look at my mom in a different way. Because here's the last fun fact about hermit crabs. Despite the name, hermit crabs are actually really social creatures. They thrive in colonies. They eat together, they travel in packs to protect each other from predators, and they trade shells, they pass them around. So that each crab can find like just the perfect fitting shell to be their home. And whatever colony or community that my mom had growing up in Vietnam in the 70s, she had to leave when she immigrated to the United States. And I don't know if that was like by choice or by necessity. She never talks about that time, and she never acknowledges that version of herself. And I think she just never found like the right fitting shell for her. And she socially isolates, and she never leaves the house. So on the rare occasion that I do get to visit her now, I don't bring any expectations for a relationship. I just try to be there in her life, and I just try to be present in whatever small capacity that I can be. And I do this in the hopes that maybe she'll feel like she's a part of a very small colony, and that maybe I can be a little bit of home for her.
And I learned so many new things about hermit crabs. And I wrote a movie about hermit crabs once. Yeah, and it's totally true, the thing about trading shells. They actually line up, this is so weird, they line up like in size order, and then they all like walk out of their shells and go into the next bigger shell. It's like they train. It's crazy and super true, and yeah, awesome. Thank you for an educational and heart-filling story. Thank you. That was really great. Okay, the next storyteller, performer. I don't know what to call him because he's so many things. He's a poet. He's a clown. Not like a clown, but just a human clown. Like a comedian, writer, kite boarder, painter. He's all these. I don't know which version we're going to see. We're going to see some version of him, and he has all of my heart. So please welcome to the stage the one and only Inanc Karacalak.
Isn't Corey amazing? Everybody else who saw? I got so excited when you mentioned the subject. It's what a great, vast, amazing subject, right? I mean, do we have dog people here? Cat people? Like dog and cat people? Everything people? Is there everything? Right. I'm everything people myself. But also, Mechanics Institute, I wanted to tell a story. But again, I have, earlier we were talking about, I have a little bit of too much ADHD and I forget things. So treat this as if it's like what is the word? Like testimony or like what do you call an imam or a priest? Serve. Treat it like a serve. Right? Treat it like you're, yeah, you can speak hallelujah, Allah Akbar, or whatever fits you, Hashem, right? This is safe. Right? I'll be telling stories as a radical Muslim guy. So this is about how much of an influence and grace my beautiful best friend in the world, and hopefully hereafter, little Kismet, my dog, is to me. I want to tell you about him. So he is, first of all, those of you who met him, he's just such an amazing, handsome, smart, like intellectual. We dislike same things, We dislike same type of people, same type of dogs. We have similar, I don't want to say, but yeah, we have similar dislikes more than likes also. And I grew up in Turkey, which is the place where cats are the holiest, right? We love cats. I grew up spending a lot of time around dogs and cats, and I took a lot of rabies shots. And I broke a lot of cat fights in Turkey, which we have in Istanbul. There's and also dog fights. But I always thought, like, the idea of having a dog in your life is, is one of the greatest things, right? And I was raised with a lot of beautiful street dogs back home. Then I was fortunate enough to be graced by this amazing Cocker Spaniel named Milo. And I spent the first 3 years of my life in Turkey with him. Then at 16, I had to come to the US. So I was away from him. And after he passed away in 2010, like, my world just shattered, even though he was 3 continents away. And then, fast forward to 2010, 2019. I was in Mexico working, I teach kiteboarding, right, to rich people. And these people were not so appreciating of what I do. They thought I would just teach them how to fly in a second, and it doesn't work that way. Especially in Baja, big waves. And then at that time, I met this beautiful woman, Jessica, and she said, there's a dog. He's a little dog. He is so beautiful. He looks like a dachshund, or he's a Mexican street dog, what you're used to, like from Turkey. I said, I can't do it. I don't have really a job. I mean, I'm just, at that time I was 37 or something, 36, 37. I can't do it. There's just no way. And then I came back from Mexico, and things weren't going so well. And then one day she came home with this 12-pound, they call him Chihuahua, but he's a Mexican street dog, right? He came, and then I looked at him and I said, I'm in love. I love this guy, And I don't know, the more I got to look at him, the more I fell in love with him, and he just started like changing my life and inspiring. And then, he dislikes similar type of people that are too bubbly and pushy, right? And I don't know if you know this, I would like you to take this sound. This is the sound of a little dog saying, fuck you. And we have, I don't want to generalize the race of this other dog, but there's a little Caucasian dog next door. His name is Chucky. And the owner is also like, he uses words like, I like my guns, that kind of thing. And I don't like both. I can tolerate Chucky, but the owner is just not my type of guy. And ever since we're there, he always goes, and it makes me so happy when I see him show like some kind of a dislike and even more. And for the first 2-3 months of having him, I just realized like I want to be more like Kismet. I studied journalism and theology, then I did my master's in marketing, and I can't even put 2 words together. And this guy is so amazing, and everything he does is so beautiful. And one day, about 3 months after, I was holding him. As you know, we have, most of you probably have this too, where you have a time where you compliment your dog, right? We open the room for compliments. Oh, I love you, you're so great, I have you, right? And also, most of us who have dogs and cats, as you know, it's impossible to kiss a dog one time. Right? Correct me if I'm wrong. So I was doing one of those, right? And I looked inside his this beautiful eyes, right? And it's gonna sound like, this is gonna sound a little bit pushy, monotheist, I guess, but I saw God. Right? I saw Allah, right? And I looked at him, I said, this is so beautiful. I mean, you could translate it to whatever you want. John 3:16. I don't know, whatever you want. Cosmos. I saw God in this beautiful being. And this was about 4.5 years ago. And I looked at him and I said, I love you. And he this is going to sound weird because a lot of bad things have been done with dog messages, but not one of those. He didn't he said, he didn't say, he looked, and I felt, I got inspired. There was a canvas out in the garbage, right where I live in Alameda, and there was a picture of a honu, a Hawaiian turtle, which I also love ocean animals so much. But I saw this, and I said to Kismet, what would you like me to do? And I believe he said, with his amazing knowledge, he said, you should start painting. That's not what it sounds like. By the way, he also speaks Turkish. She was like, baba, hadi bu resmi çizmeye başlamak. All your dogs are bilingual, are multilingual. Everybody knows it. I was just in Turkey last month. No, last month I was in Mexico speaking Spanish with dogs. Earlier, I was in Turkey speaking Turkish, but I could do both languages and it'll be fine. Anyway, except German dogs, as you know, they only speak German. They're like, yeah, nein. So I looked at Kismet and I said, I love you so much. I love my girlfriend, but I love Kismet. And there's nothing wrong with neither, right? And I looked at him and there was some leftover paint from my twin sister that she's an amazing world-class painter, by the way. And I started I didn't want to waste any paint, but there was a couple left, and he started using my finger. And I did a finger painting of Kismet. With my left finger. Right? I was like, is this enough to say I love you? He's like, So I painted a picture painting of Kismet. And this was October 12th of 2019. And each time I look at him, I get so inspired. Now, I changed my life in many, many good ways because of him, but I haven't stopped painting since like earlier today. I've made about 2,050 big giant abstract paintings, and Gizmo, Kismet, Gizmo, Kimazmet, His Majesty, Sultan, rule of the world, Kutmir, Hazreti Kutmir Saint. He inspired me so much, and my life has changed, and I feel like things have gotten better, and I wanted to also remind you, if your dog dislikes someone, which likely happens often, right? I don't know, predominantly Caucasian crowd, I'm guessing some of you voted for George Bush. I didn't like him. I never did, neither both the Sultans, the first and the second. But George Bush he loves dogs now. And I'm like, I hate it, but I don't, but you know what I mean? So, if your dog, by the way, if Trump doesn't, I should go there. But when the Fuhrer comes, he's not going to have a dog again. It's bad. So, what I'm trying to say is, dogs and cats and turtles and mice and whales, they're just so great. And if there's nothing else that you, thank you, sir. I was decided to Discovery Channel, not Fox. Thank you. Earlier, by the way, are we out of time? We met earlier, and you said your name was? Craig. You said Craig Jesus. Right? He introduced me as, he said, I'm Craig Jesus. So, for those of us that are Christian here, John 3:16, right? Dogs are so special. In Judaism, in Islam, don't forget about the signs, but they are special. They have such love, and they're so capable of inspiring us to do things that we never thought we could. You know, I had an art critic, my twin sister, said, who's an amazing artist, she's like, hey, you can't even draw what you see. I'm like, yeah, because I'm able to draw what I can't see. And the things that he reminds me of when I look at him, and I'm sure you can all relate to this, most of you predominantly Caucasian crowd, when you go home to your golden retrievers, Wells Corgi, guinea pig, your ex's dog, cats, you will see God's grace with that. That's it. Thank you.
Hey guys, let's Inanc Karacalak. Oh my God. I told you, I didn't know which version there is. We got to see all of them. We got to see every one of the Inanches today. Isn't he amazing? One more time. All right, we have one final act for tonight, who is, I know, where's the time gone? Are you guys having a good time? Oh, yeah. Just a reminder, we do this once a month. It's always usually always the last Wednesday of the month. Next month will be Black History Month. There will be a Black History Month special program. And our last act tonight is the one and only Sue Alfieri, everybody!
So my name is Sue Alfieri, and you might be able to tell by my last name that I'm Italian. And you know, all good Italians seem to know where they're from, and I'm no different. I am from the most Italian part, New Jersey. That's right. My family hails from a little Italian village called Hoboken. You know, they say in Jersey only the strong survive, so I left. I I went to where the strong, have acai bowls and go hiking. And then, they say that in Hollywood, only the beautiful survive. So I moved to San Francisco. Yep. I lived in San Francisco for about 9 years or so. And my friends back in Jersey said that I had really changed. And I don't know. I don't know about that, guys. In fact, I asked my mindfulness coach. I was like, Sunbeam, what do you think? I said, I'm vegan, my son goes to private school, my husband wears a vest, a Patagonia vest with a button down. Like, how could I be more douchey? And so she said, move to Marin. I moved to a little enclave of Marin. It's Terra Linda, which is Spanish for land of people who have credit scores of 800 or more. Yeah, it's very different from Jersey, where I grew up. I mean, there were a lot of differences when I moved here that were sort of hard to get used to. You guys in California love cycling, riding bikes. Are there cyclists here? Oh, nice, nice. Like, you guys will spend $30,000 on a bike and it has parts from the space shuttle. Then you're wearing spandex and you shave your legs. It's like you're like a 1980s, aerobics video. But where I grew up, it was like if I was on a bike or if anyone was on a bike, they had a DUI. And most of the time, if they're riding a bike, it's like a children's bike. That's how we roll. And also, you guys in California love being in nature. And you'll spend like $1 million on a house just so that you could go camping and sleep in the dirt. The only time that I was ever in nature was with my Uncle Vito, and we would be hiking to see if our evidence was still hidden. Yeah, he taught me about the leave no trace principles. So moving to Marin was just quite a difference. And people were walking by my house, smiling and waving. And where I grew up, that was a sign that, like, I'm being abducted. Like, can you help me? So, if people were leaving welcome cookies on my front porch, like, I love a snickerdoodle as much as the next person, but, like, I'm not trying one until my mother-in-law does. I don't trust anybody. So we got an alarm system. Like a real one, not just my uncle, on the roof somewhere. But, and then my son was looking out the window at all the people, and I said, guys, don't, look them right in the eye. And my son said, why not? I said, they might try to recruit you. And he's like, for what? A cult? And I was like, no, worse, water polo. It's not easy. My husband's also from New Jersey, so raising kids in Marin is like Tony Soprano raising Winnie the Pooh and Piglet. These kids are soft. And my son was the only second grader with a mustache. Every Halloween he was like the only Mario brother. He was proud of his mustache, still is. My daughter hates hers. She's a 13-year-old, and having a 13-year-old daughter, if you don't know, is like having a cat with an obsession for Sephora. But having a tween, like my son, and if you don't know what a tween is, I'll tell you, it's a kid between the ages of 10 and Satan. And for parents, it's like between drinking too much and like doing this to get away from them. They can't find me here. But I mean, it's tough. It's, you know, even though we have this alarm system, the Ring camera, I mean, I still didn't totally feel at ease in our neighborhood, you know. So I got a Tijuana street dog. Yes. His name is Jacobo, which is Jacob in Spanish, and he has a teardrop tattoo. And he's always trying to sell me fireworks, I don't know. But, I mean, I feel like it was a good buy. You know, 2,000 homicides a year in Tijuana, I felt like he was ready for the mean streets of Terra Linda. I did. But sadly, a few days on the job, and this guy has become Marinized. That's really the only way to put it. He wants to only be called Jake. He's wearing Teva sandals. And he made us get one of those signs for the front yard. The ones that say, like, love is love, science is real, everyone is welcome. I'm like, I don't think you understand why we put you here. To you know, like, when people come to the door, we wanted him to, you know, like, get really kind of angry. And instead, you just give him a vegan or gluten-free treat, and he'll go home with you. It's ridiculous, but I felt like he was the right guy. I saw, I Google Earthed the neighborhood where he was from in Tijuana, and I saw like a pit bull with an eye patch smoking a joint, and I was like, that's the one. So, but as a mother of 2 kids, I have never felt this kind of, you know, unconditional love before for Jake. I mean, he is a picture, there's a picture of him on the side of my bed. I sing to him, I make up songs about him, you know. I don't do that for anyone else in my family. I mean, I'm certainly not doing that for my husband, can you imagine? And then people that have dogs, I'm assuming, like, you talk nicer to your dogs than your own family. Like, my dog will be sitting there, like, licking himself incessantly. And I'm like, honey, stop. But my husband does it. And I'm like, that's disgusting. On the white couch. Now, you know, in Marin, like, everybody has people to do things for them. So, you know, like gardeners and lovers. No, I don't know. Couples therapists. But so I got a dog walker because I can't always walk Jake, and my dog walker brought my dog home, okay, and said, Jake is really behind. Like, as a Marin mom, that was like, it felt like, you know, when someone accidentally like spits on your face and you're like, I have this guy in piano lessons, cool on, like, behind. So I got him a private tutor. But I mean, the other day my son came up to me though, and he's like, Mommy, I feel like you love the dog more than you love me. And I was like, what gave it away? And when you think about it, I said, buddy, like, he's happy to see me, unlike my tween and teen. He does whatever I ask him to do, and he doesn't try to hump my leg, like your dad. Thank you, guys.
Let's bring everybody back up on the stage. All of our storytellers, comedians, painters, poets, preachers. Come on up. Let's hear it for the cast of the incredible show. Listen, we can get a picture up close and all of us. All right. Come on up. Come on up. Sue, where are you? Inanc, you gonna leave already? No? Yeah. Come on back, Idrissa. Sue. Inanc, cheers, everybody. All right, keep it going. Now, let's take a picture really quick, and then we'll do it. Thank you all so much for coming out on a wet Wednesday night. We will see you next month. Please follow MI Library, the social media for Mechanics Institute. Also, CoreyRosen.com. My Instagram is StoryRosen if you want to follow me. And if you want to talk to any of these amazing people, they will be up here before they run away. So thanks one more time. Good night. See you next time.